A top story this morning: after a mini roadblock, negotiations aimed at reviving the 2015 Iran nuclear deal resumed on Thursday. Representatives from Iran, UK, France, Germany, China, Russia, they all gathered in Vienna to discuss the unlikely salvaging of the nuclear pact. Tensions ran high in the room after last week the European leaders called out Tehran for deviating from the past commitments as the negotiations went underway. Now, Washington sent out a stern warning that they were preparing for difficult measures if and when the talks fail.
President Biden is committed to ensuring Iran never acquires a nuclear weapon and believes diplomacy in coordination with allies and regional partners is the best path to achieve that goal. We believe a diplomatic resolution offers the best path to avoiding a nuclear crisis. However, given the ongoing advances in Iran's nuclear program, the president has asked his team to be prepared in the event that diplomacy fails, and we must turn to other options, and that requires preparations.
Speaking to the press, White House spokesperson Jen Psaki reassured President Biden's stand on Tehran's nuclear program, which is that Iran must never acquire a nuclear weapon. Press Secretary Psaki also talked about Biden administration's plan of action if diplomacy fails. As tensions run high with the possible outcome expected to impact the world order, military leaders of the United States and their regional ally Israel met at the Pentagon on Thursday. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin held talks with his Israeli counterpart Benny Gantz, where the two leaders agreed on expanding cooperation in the face of the Iranian threat.
I'm deeply concerned about the Iranian government's nuclear actions in recent months, both its continued provocations and its lack of constructive diplomatic engagement. The President has made clear that if diplomacy fails, we are prepared to turn to other options. The Department of Defense will continue to work closely with all of our partners throughout the region, including Israel first and foremost, to ensure that we're working together to address Iranian threats. We will defend ourselves, we will defend our friends, and we will defend our interests.
The nuclear program is a means to Iran's hegemonic goals, imposing its radical ideology and threatening Israel's existence. I am totally confident in the commitment of the administration of the United States as a global power to prevent Iran from gaining a nuclear weapon.
Now, leaders from Iran and the West have met 7 times since April this year. While some talks hinted at progress, others ended in a deadlock. The last round of talks started in late November, were called off on the 3rd of December, with Western participants accusing Iran of going back on the progress that had been made earlier. In the coming days, the U.S. representative is expected to partake in the talks indirectly. Note that after former President Donald Trump withdrew from the Iran nuclear deal and imposed economy-wrecking sanctions on Tehran, Washington has not had a seat at the table of diplomacy. Talking about the ongoing negotiations, also EU's chief negotiator said that there was a renewed sense of purpose from all representatives on the table. However, the task ahead is not an easy one to carry.
It's difficult. It's a very difficult endeavor. There are still different positions that we have to marry. This is the gist of the negotiation, and we will see how we can proceed and how we can advance.
For their part, Iranian officials have insisted that they are serious about the talks. Tehran's chief negotiator, Ali Bagheri, said, and I'm quoting here, "The fact that the two sides are continuing to talk indicates that they want to narrow the gaps." Meanwhile, experts say that Iran is continuing with its nuclear program with an aim of building a nuclear weapon. Talking a little about the said program. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.